Welcome back everyone. So here we find ourselves back in Blender, and what we're going to do is we're going to do exactly kind of what we did before. The one thing I would say is you could make a new collection to import it in, and it might make it a little bit cleaner so you can see what you're doing. But I think for myself, I'm just going to leave it in here. The one thing I might do is just put it on solid, and that just enables me to see a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is come up to File, come down to Import, and we're going to import an SVG. And then I'm just going to find the SVG that we've created. So I'm going to go up, I'm going to look, and SVG is here, and then the hinges is this one here. Now, as I said, you won't be able to see anything, so I'm just going to hide the step, hide the door, and now I can actually see my hinge. So I'm going to move it out, I'm going to spin it round, and the one thing about the SVG is, before you start is, you'll notice again, that if I pull it out, the actual orientation is set here. So let's right click, set origin to geometry. Let's put it in the middle. Let's bring it out like so. And then I'm going to spin it round. So RX90. And it should, if I press 1, fit really, really nicely as I bring it out. So let's bring it out a little bit more now. And look where this comes up to. So I'm going to pull it up to here. And I think that's a little bit too much. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And let's find where we actually want it. And you can use your reference as well to check out to see where exactly it was. And now let's press Alt-H, bring the door back, and there we go. And that's looking really, really nice. All right, so we're going to do what we did before, because if we press Tab now, we can see we've got a lot of dots on here, and we don't really want that. So let's come over once more to our Curve tab, and we're going to put it on 3D like so. And then we're going to come up to, and then we're going to press Tab, come up to Object, come down, convert, mesh from curve, and there we go. And now if I grab just my hinge, press A, let's have a look how many vertices there are, and you can see there's a hell of a lot. So now let's press delete, come down, limited dissolve, and now let's fill this in. So Alt F, fill it in, and there we go. Next what we'll do is we'll come up to edge select, right click, and mark seam. Next what we'll do is fill in all these faces now, so we'll press Alt F and fill them all in. Now we'll come up to face, right click, come down, triangulate faces, right click, come down, tries to quads, and there we go. Alright, so let's now pull it out to the thickness that we want it. So I'm simply going to press E, pull it out like so. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the tab button, I'm going to pull it into place, just so it's actually leaning on the door. So let's pull it out a little bit. It's a little bit too far in there. And look how thick it actually is. It might be too thick, or you might be happy with it. I think I'm actually happy with how that's actually looking. I think it's maybe, let's have a look. All right, I think that'll do for now. One thing I will do is I'll come over material and just minus that off. And then I can really, really see what I'm doing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, shade smooth, and then come over to my triangle, click on auto smooth, and there we go. Now what we need to do is we need to actually unwrap these. So I'm going to isolate it out with a question mark. I'm going to come in. I know that I've got the top and the bottom. They will be isolated absolutely fine. What I want to do is now I want to make a seam so that we haven't got infinite loops going all around here. Best place again is to do it is in the corners where nobody can really see it joining. So you've got that corner there. Do you really need this corner here? I don't think so. But let's put one in here, and then let's just work our way around. Put one here, for instance. We could have one in there, but I don't think it's needed because it's such a small piece of mesh from there to there that you're probably better off just using these parts here. So let's come in, and we'll come to here. And then I'll go round to, on this part, probably here, because this is going to be hidden by our hinge. And then it's going to go all the way around to this part here. And probably this part in here, like so. Alright, so that looks fine. So right click and mark seam, and now let's do the bottom one. So we're definitely going to need one in here and one in here, and we'll bring it up to here, and then I'll bring this to here, and let's work all the way along, underneath here, and underneath here. Right click, mark seam. All right, let's see what these unwrap like then. So if I grab them all with A, UV editing, let's isolate them out. So question mark, let's press U, unwrap, and there we go. And we can see that everything's straight and they look like they've unwrapped really, really nicely. Okay, so the next thing I want to do then is basically bring in my material to put on these. So we'll go back to modeling for that. Now we've unwrapped them, and we can come in and change our UVs if they're actually not big enough or small enough. So now let's head on over to the materials tab and let's bring in material. Now with the hinges, I've actually gave you 2 materials that you can use. We are going to use the actual dark metal. There's also a bronze on there as well, which you might like better. Just be aware, if you use the bronze one, just make sure that your UV islands are actually expanded just that little bit bigger to make them fit fine. Okay, so let's come over to plus, new, and we're just going to call this dark metal. I'm going to come over to shading. I'm going to come to my principled. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit, click on my principled, Control-Shift-T, and now let's go to our actual textures. And you'll see the one that's black metal here. And this is the bronze one I'm talking about. Let's double click the black metal, shift click the top one, shift click the bottom one, click on the principled, and that will bring them in. Now we do need to do some alterations for these. You'll see when they come in, they're not quite right. We can actually put this as well onto our cycles. Let's see if it's on cycles. I think it's actually on Eevee. So let's come over and put it on cycles. The reason why I want to put it on cycles is they do look slightly different based on which actual renderer you're actually using. And in the end, I actually want to use the cycles render engine. As I say, I think it's a little bit better for something like this than Eevee. That's not to say it's not good or anything like that. It really is. But I know that from past students, some of them want it in cycles, some of them want it in Eevee. So this time we're going to focus actually on cycles. And as I say, just put this on Eevee and work on this based on the Eevee renderer. So let's put this on cycles now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to double tap the A. So you can see now I can actually work on this without it actually being highlighted, which is great. And then the first thing I'm going to do is bring in a gamma. So I'm going to press Shift A, search, gamma, bring that in, drop it in. I'm going to put this on 0.6, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug the metal, and I'm going to unplug the roughness. I'm going to set the metal all the way up to 1. And then the roughness, I'm going to put it at 0.9, something like that. So let's put it at 0.9. Like so. And now you can see it really actually blends in. If I zoom out here, you can see it actually really fits the scene really nicely. And now you can see that work we did with it flowing around the actual window and things like that looks really nice. Now the one thing, as I said, I would probably do in this is I would probably come in and make these this window a little bit darker. And as I say, we're going to work on that as we get further on into actual rendering. So again, if you want to bring your bronze in now, bring that in. Now, the last thing I want to do while I'm here is I want to come to my actual stone. So I'm going to click on my stone. I'm going to come down to where it says my strength of my normal map. And you'll notice if I turn this up, it really brings this out a lot. Now, I don't want it on 10 or anything like that, but I do want it higher than where it was on, which is 1. So I'm going to bring it up slightly just to make it a little bit more bumpy and really bring out that moss a little bit. And you can see now it's really starting to stick out a little bit, and it looks a lot better, especially when we're starting to get our grass in. All right, so now let's put it back onto our texture, and let's go back to modeling. And then what we'll do is we'll press the question mark to bring everything back, put it back on textures, and you should end up with something like that. So on the next lesson, what we'll do is we'll bring in some bolts, we'll bring in our hinges, and then we can make a start on our actual grass. Okay everyone, so I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot, bye bye.